It's about 9 in the evening. You get up off the couch to go to the kitchen, and about halfway down the hallway, something latches onto your ankle. Claws, a quick bite, and they're gone again before you finished saying their name. And you stand there in the hallway with 3 fresh scratches, thinking the thought thousands of owners have said to me in exactly these words: "My cat attacks me." And that word is where everything starts going wrong. Because the second you decide you're being attacked, your cat stops being your cat and becomes something to be wary of in your own home. The family starts talking about him differently, people start stepping around him, and none of it is fair because here's what's actually happening. Your cat has been trying to get your attention all evening in the only language they were born with, and by the time they reach your ankle, you've already walked past every polite version of the question. Hi everyone, I'm Leo Bennett, your neighborhood cat guy. Today we're solving the ankle ambush. I'll show you exactly what's happening in your cat's head in the seconds before it happens, the warning signs you walk past every evening, and the fix, which takes about 15 minutes a day. And stick around because the last thing I'll give you is the tool that stops an ambush mid-air, and it fits in your pocket. Quick note before we start. This is one chapter of a much bigger conversation about what your cat is trying to tell you, and I've gathered all of it into a book called The Happy Cat Manual over at leobennettsecrets.com. If you want more happy years with your cat, go take a look. That's all. Now, let's start with what your cat actually thinks you are. First, the language, because this matters more than people expect. Stop saying attack. When you say your cat attacked you, 2 things happen. 1, everyone in the household gets a little afraid of that animal, and cats read human tension instantly, which makes it worse. And 2, you've quietly reclassified your cat as hostile rather than frustrated. Once you've done that, every solution you reach for is a punishment, because that's what you do with an aggressor. You yell, you spray, you shut them out. And every one of those makes tomorrow evening worse. So the correct way here costs you nothing. Change the word. This is play aggression. Yes, it hurts, and no, you shouldn't have to put up with it, but the engine underneath it is play, not hostility. And once you understand that, the fix becomes obvious. So let's get into what's actually happening. To understand your cat's evening, you have to understand what I call the raw cat. That's your cat's ancestor, the animal from tens of thousands of years back, still running underneath all that domestication. And the raw cat's day has a shape to it. Hunt, catch, kill, eat, groom, sleep. That's the entire cycle, and everything about your cat is built to run it. They sleep as much as they do specifically to bank energy for the hunt. And here's the piece almost nobody puts together. For a cat, play is not entertainment. Play is prey. It's the same behavior with the target swapped out. Watch kittens tumbling over each other and you're watching a hunting apprenticeship. The stalk, the freeze, the pounce, the bite, the back legs rabbit kick. Every one is a hunting move being rehearsed, and it doesn't stop when they grow up. So your cat wakes up every single day loaded with hunting energy that has nowhere to go because there is nothing to hunt in your house. And that energy is not optional. It doesn't evaporate because you have a nice apartment and a good food bowl. Picture a balloon. Your cat wakes up and starts filling with air, and by evening, that balloon is tight. Now, there are only 2 ways for the air to come out. Either you let it out deliberately on your terms, or it comes out on its own, which means it pops. And when it pops, it needs a target. And the only thing moving in that house, at ground level, at exactly the wrong moment, is you. Which brings me to the part that people find genuinely hard to hear. You're not being ambushed because your cat is mean. You're being ambushed because you look like prey. And I mean that mechanically, not as an insult. Think about how ground prey moves. A mouse, a vole, a lizard. It doesn't travel in a smooth, straight line. It goes a bit, stops dead, changes direction, darts, freezes, reverses. That unpredictable start-stop movement is exactly what a cat's predatory system is tuned to lock onto. Now think about how you move around your house in the evening. You get up, you walk toward the kitchen, you stop, remember something, turn around, you walk out of the room, then come straight back in. From your cat's position, low to the ground, watching a pair of ankles do all of that, you are the most convincing prey animal that has ever lived in that house. And here's the detail that makes it click. It is almost always ankles and feet, not hands, not shoulders. Because ankles are at ground level, and ground level is where ground prey lives. Your cat isn't choosing to hurt you. Your cat's targeting system is doing exactly what it was designed to do, and you happen to be the only thing in the building that keeps moving. So now let's talk about the warnings, because once you can see this, you'll never miss it again. The ambush does not come out of nowhere. There's a buildup every single time, usually running a minute or more before contact. First, your cat stops what they were doing and locks on. Head still, eyes tracking you, body low and gathered rather than relaxed. Then, the tail. And the tail is the single best gauge you have because a cat's tail is basically a pressure valve for that balloon. A slow, occasional twitch at the tip is early pressure, the first sign that arousal is building. As it climbs, that twitch becomes a rhythmic flick. And if it keeps climbing, you get the full swishing thrash, side to side, and by then, you're seconds from contact. That thrash means the opposite of what it means on a dog, which is why people get it so catastrophically wrong. Then, look at the ears. As arousal rises, the ears rotate out and flatten sideways into what people call airplane ears. The pupils blow wide open, even in a bright room, because arousal overrides the light. The body drops, the weight shifts back, and sometimes you'll see that little bum wiggle right before launch, which is the cat loading up the back legs. And here's the behavior that gave it away for me the first time I watched it properly. The cat will often try to lead you. They'll dart ahead toward the door you were heading for, then stop and look back. That is an invitation. That's your cat saying, in the clearest terms available to them, "Come on, let's do this." And when you walk past that invitation 2 or 3 times, the ambush isn't a decision to hurt you. It's the last resort of an animal that already asked politely and got nothing. So learn those signals and treat them as an alarm, because you don't want to solve this at the moment of contact. You want to solve it 2 minutes earlier. And here's what not to do, because this is where good owners make it permanent. When you get hit, every instinct in your body says 3 things. Yell, push them away, pull the leg back fast. All 3 are wrong. Yelling adds noise and drama to a situation your cat is already over-aroused in, and to a cat mid-play, loud, sudden reactions read as the toy getting more exciting. Pushing them away with your hand does exactly the same thing, and now you've offered a second moving target. And yanking your foot back is the worst of the 3, because rapid retreating movement is the most powerful prey trigger there is. You've just done a perfect impression of a mouse escaping, which locks in the pursuit. And physical punishment does something worse. It teaches your cat to fear your hands, which doesn't reduce the ambushes at all, it just adds fear on top of them. So the correct way, in the moment, is dull and boring, and it works. Freeze. Stop moving completely. Become furniture. A cat's predatory system runs on motion, and a leg that's gone completely still stops being interesting almost immediately. Don't speak, don't push, don't retreat. When they let go, calmly walk away and give them nothing. No eye contact, no drama, no scolding. You're removing the reward, which is the reaction. But this is damage control, not a solution. It manages the moment. It doesn't empty the balloon. For that, we have to go upstream. So here's the actual fix, and it has 3 parts. Part 1 is the big one, and if you only do one thing from this entire video, make it this. Give your cat something better to hunt. Interactive play with a wand toy every single day. And I want to be precise because most people think they're already doing this and they aren't. Leaving a pile of toys on the floor is not playing with your cat. Those are furniture. Your cat cannot hunt a stationary object because prey moves, and a mouse lying motionless in the middle of a room is a mouse that doesn't exist. What you need is a wand toy, a stick with a string and something on the end. And here's why that design matters. It puts real distance between the target and your body, which means your cat learns to bite the toy and not your hand. If you play with your bare hands, you are teaching your cat that human skin is an acceptable thing to sink teeth into, and then acting surprised when they take you up on that at 9 in the evening. Now, technique, because this is where people get it wrong and then conclude their cat isn't interested in toys. Do not stand in one place waving a feather in your cat's face. No prey animal in history has hovered directly in front of a predator, vibrating. Your cat knows it's fake and disengages, and you decide they're not playful. Instead, make the toy behave like something alive trying to escape. Move it away from your cat, never toward them. Drag it around a corner and let it disappear. Let it go completely still and then twitch once. Skitter it along the floor for ground prey, or flutter it up and let it land for a bird. Vary the rhythm. Bursts and pauses, hard chase, then stillness, because that's what a real hunt looks like, and it's what actually tires a cat out. And here's the rule people break constantly, the one that turns play into frustration. Let them catch it. A hunt with no capture isn't satisfying, it's maddening. So every so often, let them get claws and teeth into it properly, let them wrestle and do that back legs kick, then let it escape again. End with a final catch they get to keep. 15 minutes done properly beats an hour of half-hearted waggling. Part 2 is what almost everybody misses, and it's what turns a good session into a cat who sleeps through the night. Feed them immediately afterwards. Go back to the sequence. Hunt, catch, kill, eat, groom, sleep. Eating isn't a separate activity for later. It's the next step in the chain, and it's what triggers the wind down. When a cat hunts successfully and then eats, the whole system stands down. They groom, and then they sleep hard. So if you play your cat to exhaustion and walk off, you've completed 3/4 of a sequence and left it hanging. Put a meal down the moment play ends, and the biology does the rest. This is also why free feeding works against you. If there's a full bowl around the clock, food isn't the reward at the end of a hunt, it's wallpaper. Feed proper meals at set times. Part 3 is timing, and it's what makes all of this stick. Cats run on rhythm, and the framework is routine, ritual, rhythm. Start with a routine, the same thing at the same time each day. Repeat it enough and it becomes a ritual your cat anticipates. And once you have rituals, the day has a rhythm. And that predictability is where a huge amount of feline calm comes from. Now here's why that matters for ankle ambushes. If yours happen at a predictable time, and they almost always do, that's the best news in this video, because a predictable problem is a solvable one. Cats are crepuscular, wired to peak around dawn and dusk, so evening is naturally their high-energy window. But there's a second trigger people never notice, which is your own energy spikes. When the family gets up off the couch to head to bed, that sudden burst of movement after a still evening is a spike, and your cat rides it. So the correct way is simple. Find the time your ambushes happen, and schedule your play session about half an hour to an hour before it, every single day. If the attacks come at 9, you play at 8 and feed at 8:15. You are deliberately emptying the balloon before it has a chance to pop. And do it at the same time daily, because the routine itself does work for you. A cat who knows the hunt is coming at 8 stops needing to invent one at 9. And now the last thing, the one I promised at the start, for the moments when you've done everything right and your cat still comes flying down the hallway. Remote toys. These are small, throwable things you keep in your pocket or stashed around the house. Crinkle balls, small stuffed mice, kicker toys, anything light that skitters along a floor. And the technique is redirection. The instant you see the signals, the lock-on, the tail flick, the flattened ears, you do not wait for contact. You throw the toy down the hallway, away from you, and your cat's targeting system, which is driven by motion, switches to the fast-moving object instead of the slow-moving ankle. You've taken yourself out of the role of prey and handed them a substitute. 2 honest notes. First, don't throw it at your cat, throw it past them, so the movement pulls their eyes away from you. Second, a remote toy will not finish the job. Chasing a crinkle ball for 10 seconds gets you out of the moment, but it doesn't complete the cycle, and your cat is still carrying most of that energy. So redirect first, then reach for the wand toy and run a proper session. And keep these things in more than one place, because the tool has to be within reach in the 2 seconds you have. So let me pull this together. Your cat is not attacking you. Your cat is a small predator living in a house with nothing to hunt, running on instincts that are tens of thousands of years old, and you are the only thing in the building that moves like prey. That balloon fills up every single day whether you engage with it or not, and it will come out one way or another. Your entire job is to decide whether it comes out on a wand toy at 8 in the evening or on your ankle at 9. So play properly every day with a wand toy, moving it like something alive and letting them catch it. Feed a real meal the second play ends. Do it at the same time daily, just ahead of the trouble window. Keep something throwable in your pocket. And learn that tale because your cat has been warning you every evening, clearly and patiently, and nobody ever taught you to read it. Get that right, and the ambushes don't get managed, they mostly stop, because the thing driving them isn't there anymore. And here's the part I like best about this one. Every other fix on this channel is you doing maintenance. This one is 15 minutes a day of playing with your cat, which is the reason most of us got a cat in the first place. The fix is the fun part. So tell me in the comments, what time of day do your ankle ambushes happen? I'm genuinely curious how many of you say the evening, because I think the answer is going to be almost all of you. Hit like, subscribe, and send this to somebody who's convinced their cat has it in for them. I'm Leo Bennett. Thank you for making the world a safer place for your cats.